My dream is a musical lasagna. Would you like to hear it? All right, I'll let you hear it. We'll get there, but first I want to start with a pop quiz. This is an actual quiz about pop, so answers in your head, please. Let's find out what you know. My first question, who married John Lennon? John Lennon from the Beatles. What was his wife's name? Have you got it? My second question, who was the original Man in Black? It's a country singer, the original Man in Black. And my third question, this one actually from the classical era. Which of the great composers was deaf? Think of his name. Yoko Ono, Johnny Cash, Beethoven. How did we do? How many of us knew at least 1 out of 3? 1 out of 3 off the top of our heads, yeah. How many knew at least 2 out of 3? Uh-huh. Why do we know this stuff? Why isn't it enough just to listen to a Beatles album? Why do I have to know about their spirituality and the people that they married and their politics? Why is it that the top 3 accounts on Twitter.com belong to Lady Gaga, Katy Perry, and Justin Bieber? We want to know the people who create the music that we love. Because you and I understand almost intuitively that music is so much more than just putting one note in front of the next. Music is about my heart connecting with the heart of another person. So for me, it was when I was 16 years old and I'm walking home from school and I've got my original Sony Walkman cassette player, headphones on, all-time #1 mixtape dialed up, ready to go, and I'm listening to U2. And Bono's singing, I want to run, I want to hide, I want to tear down the walls that hold me inside. And every angsty teenage hormonal molecule in my body wells up as one, and I go, yes, Bono, me too. I want to run and hide and tear down walls. And for just a moment, a 16-year-old American kid and 4 middle-aged Irish guys have made a connection, people that I'll never meet. This is what I call the amen. When the creative work of another person so resonates with you that you go, yes, I agree. I feel what you feel. The things that you find beautiful, I also find beautiful. Amen. Preach it, brother. When you go to a rock concert and everybody has their arm in the air like this is rock and roll for amen. Preach it. I like what you're saying. What you're doing resonates with me. And so you and I know that we can look up the word music in a dictionary and we can read a definition like ordered tonality. But ordered tonality, we understand intuitively, is not what music is. Ordered tonality is what music is made out of. But music is people, connection, relationship. So here's the problem. For the last 60 years, music has become so big, so much about the giant rock tour, mass volume sales, mass albums, mass distribution all over the country and all over the world, that you and I have forgotten what it really feels like to have a relationship with someone who creates music. So you went on Adele's Facebook page and you clicked like, and you think you have a relationship with her. What if you could actually have a relationship with the people who create the music that you love? I think it's possible in a musical lasagna. So let me explain to you how this works. My lasagna, you may have guessed, is not in fact an Italian dish. My lasagna is a community. So this lasagna is a community where the people who create music and the people who support music are experiencing the creative life together. Let me say that again. This lasagna is a community where the people who create music and the people who support music are experiencing the creative life together. So there's 2 things that you need to understand about my lasagna, about this community. The first thing is that it comes in a pan, by which I mean this is a geographical, physical location. So I'm not talking about a website. We're not going to build another social network where we give each other likes and props and clicks. This is a 4 walls, physical location. Because physical locations, when you get right down to it, are where relationships are formed. Most of the people that you and I are close to in our lives, we've spent physical time with them, extended, repeated physical time at some point in our lives, and that's where relationships are formed. So we need to have a physical location for this community, 4 walls. It's in a pan. The second thing to know, this community has layers, just like my lasagna. If you look at this lasagna, the top layer, this is the only part that you and I can see right now. The top layer is there for anyone to experience. Anyone can look at it from the outside, and it's kind of cheesy and hopefully a little bit delicious looking. We make our decision about whether to participate in this lasagna by what we see on that top layer. That's the face. Our community needs to have a face that anyone can experience, anyone can participate. So imagine that our community starts with a cafe. Maybe it's a coffee shop very similar to the one that you and I were just hanging out in a few minutes ago that we walked through to get into this room. And anybody can come into this. You can sit down, you can get a cup of coffee, you can eat a sandwich, and for a couple of bucks you can experience our community and feel like I'm part of this. The only difference is at the back of our cafe there are these huge picture windows. And on the other side of these picture windows there are musicians recording, teaching, creating, composing, rehearsing. And you can look through that and you see them, because if the surface level, the face of our community is a cafe, then the foundation of the community has to be working artists. So our four walls need to include studios. We need to have places where musicians can record, where they can rehearse, where they can teach. Because if we don't have musicians coming to our physical location every day, if we don't have music actually being created in our community on a regular basis, we are not a musical community. We're a theme restaurant. So we want to be Hollywood, not Planet Hollywood, right? So we need to have musicians actually working. So how do we accomplish that? How do we make that happen? Well, we create a myriad of other opportunities, other layers in between that top surface that anyone can experience and between those artists who are on the foundation. And as deep as you and I want to go, as close as we want to get to the creative life, and as far down as we want to dig in that community and into those relationships, we got a lasagna layer you can live on. So maybe drinking a cup of coffee is not enough for you. You want to go a little bit deeper. Well, you can buy a ticket. You can go to a concert in our concert venue. You can see our artists perform. You want to go a little bit deeper than that? You can sign up for lessons, and you can learn to play the guitar or the piano. You can come to a class in our recording studio and learn how to record your own albums and start to experience the creative life that way. You want to go a little deeper than that? We have behind-the-scenes events for you. So maybe a touring artist comes through town, and we're going to have a backstage event with them where they do a small songwriting circle in the green room before their show. And you can hang out with your rock idol and learn how they write their songs behind the scenes. Or maybe we do events in our studio where our local producers talk about how they made a particular record. And then maybe on the deepest level of participation, we have patronage opportunities. So people like you and me can actually invest in individual artists and build relationships that way. And you have the opportunity maybe to sponsor somebody's album, or maybe to create a scholarship so that somebody who we want to participate in this community can have the opportunity to do that. So all of these different lasagna levels, all of these layers between the surface and the foundation, for you and me, they create ways to dig deeper. They create channels to relationship so that we can get to know those artists and experience a little bit of their life. For those artists, these are going to create streams of income in ways that they can actually make a living. Because here's the reality. Without a stream of income, a new musician will never become a great musician. They won't be able to stay at it that long. One of the greatest problems in the recording industry right now is that record labels can no longer afford to do artist development. So if you want to have a deal with a major label right now, you better have 4 or 5 hits already under your belt. You better already have thousands of salivating fans that are lining up to buy anything that you put out. If you're not already at that point, a major label can't sign you. They can't afford to build you to that point. So who's going to develop the next generation of recording artists if the major labels won't? You and me, in our musical lasagna. I think if we could get enough people together who were dedicated to supporting local music, and if we could pool enough music resources into one location, one pan, we could crowdsource artist development. And then maybe we reach a point where you and I don't have to wait for the next major artist to come along. We don't have to look in your Facebook feed to see when the next Adele is going to bubble up. You and I can discover the next Adele, because she's already here somewhere among us in our communities. There's somebody that great in the suburbs of West Chicago right now. And over the next 5 years, one of 2 things is going to happen to her. She's either going to burn out and give up because she just can't stick at this music thing for long enough. She can't find enough of an audience to continue at it to become really mature as an artist. Or she's going to find herself part of a musical community where she's nourished and where she's able to grow. And maybe 5 years from now, you're sitting in our cafe having lunch, and you look through that giant picture window in the back, and you see the next Adele recording her latest single. And you turn to your friend, and you say, not her music's great, but she's great because you know her. So I promised I would let you hear my musical lasagna before we were finished. I only really have an appetizer for you, a little taste of what it could sound like if music was created in community. This is from a project that we did last year at my recording studio in Aurora. The album was called Made in Aurora, and our whole goal was just to, let's try to fit as many local artists as we can on one piece of vinyl. And so this particular recording I'm going to play, we came in on a Tuesday night, about 11 o'clock at night. We had about 20 guys packed into our live room. We handed out a song that about half of them knew, and we said, go to town. No rehearsal. Some of them knew each other, some of them were just meeting. And we said, do your song, do what you do. And this is the result. And I want you to understand, as you come into the studio with me, I want you to understand as you listen to this recording and you hear these voices, I hope you enjoy this. I'm going to enjoy it more. Because every one of these voices you're about to hear, I know these guys. I call them now on the phone every time I need musicians to play on a project at my studio. I go to their shows and I see them. And I look in the front row and there they are at each other's shows hanging out. My life is richer because I have those relationships. And my wish for you is that you could be as rich as I am.
Nelson always tried to
I
be
bought this
in
thing
tune.
in tune and it hasn't gone out yet.
I gotta have to be.
He bought it in tune.
No, it was covered. Actually, when I bought it, it was covered with Slurpee.
Ridiculous. All right, I like what we did last time.
All right, go ahead.
Great. You right for the record. For the record. Just saying it.
Here we go, heads up.
Here we go.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
In my hour of darkness, in my time of need, O Lord, grant me vision, O Lord, grant me speed. Once I knew a young man went driving through the night, miles and miles without a word, just his high beam light. Who'd have thought they'd ever build such a deadly Denver bend? To be so strong, to take so long, as it would till the end. In my hour of darkness, in my time of need.
So in about a week and a half, I'm going to be meeting again with a group of local artists at the studio, and I'm going to present this vision to them that I've just shared with you. If you'd like to send them greetings, if you'd like to leave a note of encouragement or inspiration for any of the artists that are currently working as musicians in your community, we've got a guest book out in the cafe outside these doors. We'd love for you to sign it and leave a message for them. Thank you very much for listening.